Okay. This is our project. We focused on Galileo, and our project is called Galileo's Book of Inventions. I'm Grayson, and this is Ava.
Okay, and then these are going to be things we're covering in our presentation. So we're going to be going over four different inventions that he chose.
I'm going to be doing Galileo's telescope and Galileo, or and Siderius Nuncius, and Ava is going to do the compass and the thermoscope.
Okay, so for our focus project, we chose to center our topic around Galileo Galilei and multiple inventions he created throughout his lifetime. We will cover the history and several fun facts of the four inventions we chose. Grayson is going to cover the information associated with Galileo's telescope and the starry messenger, and I'm going to cover the information associated with Galileo's compass and Galileo's thermoscope. We chose Galileo and his inventions as the focal point of our project because we both enjoyed visiting the Galileo's museum during one of our on-site visits. Once we saw everything Galileo has contributed to, we were eager to learn more about him and these remarkable instruments. We also know he's very well known philosopher, astronomer, and mathematician. Therefore, we can easily find credible sources when researching for our project.
Galileo's telescope was a very important part of scientific history. It paved the way for many creations and changed the common thought about the universe itself with the discoveries made through a magnifying lens. Through his findings, Galileo also created a book where he wrote down his findings. This book was called Sidereus Nuncius, or Starry Messenger. He would write down what he would saw and in his telescope, such as how the moon is rocky and that the different planets would rotate around the sun. Another significant contribution from Galileo was his geometric and military compass. This device acted as a calculator and was used by merchants and shipwrights. Lastly, we will cover Galileo's thermoscope, which is known as a precursor of the modern thermometer. His thermoscope can be used to measure heat and cold and has a long glass body with a vessel as the base. Galileo was a monumental person in the way our world is today, and it is important to study him and his findings to see the underlying reason why we live the way we do. Okay, Galileo's telescope. Galileo's telescope, created by Galileo on March 13th, 1610, was a monumental development in the world of science. He got word of a Dutchman who created a magnification object in Venice, Italy. He created a telescope that could magnify objects up to 10 times the original size. Though this telescope, Through this telescope, it paved the way for the theory of heliocentrism, the belief that the sun is at the center of the universe. Through observation using the telescope, Galileo could prove that the planets revolved around the sun. The moon was rocky and not a perfect sphere, and discovered three of the largest moons of Jupiter. This object connects to our project because Galileo's telescope was created by Galileo himself, who our project is based on. Galileo's telescope played a huge role in the way our world is scientifically viewed today. Through the telescope, we can now observe the world through a new lens, a lens that is not obstructed by the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church believed that the Earth was at the center of the universe, and anyone that disagreed disobeyed the law. Galileo, believing in heliocentrism, got sentenced to life in prison because he disagreed with the Catholic Church's beliefs. However, Galileo took the risk, and his sacrifice guided the world to know the truth. Galileo put all of his observations into a journal called Sidereus Nuncius, or Starry Messenger. From this journal, society could see what Galileo was seeing through his telescope. In conclusion, Galileo's telescope played a massive role in how our society is shaped today. In fact, we may still think that the Earth is at the center of the universe without Galileo.
Okay, and then I did Galileo's compass. In 1597, Galileo created a famous instrument known as the geometric and military compass. This invention was his first instrument representing commercial science, which was a huge step during Galileo's career. This started a new beginning for him and a future collection of successful tools that we still use today. Galileo's compass features two rulers that are connected by the ends along with a third piece of curved metal that is placed between the two rulers. The rulers can easily move back and forth on the curved piece, which creates the compass to act as an early calculator. When it was first created, merchants and shipwrights were the main audience using the device. They were able to solve exchange rates and test scale models. During the Renaissance time period, many scientists attempted to design a universal instrument that was able to perform the way of geometric and military compass, but Galileo was the only one who came out successful. Since he was satisfied by this victory, he continued to find ways to improve the compass and later published 60 copies of how it operates in different ways to use it. Galileo went to hire an instrument maker who he allowed to live in his house for the years to come. Both Galileo and the instrument maker split the profit of the compass sales. Once the invention caught everyone's attention, arguments over the ownership of the instrument became a common topic. Starting in 1607, Baldassare Carpa and Michael Coirnet both declare credit for the compass. Even though they were not the designer, these rumors would spread. Everyone knows Galileo as the rightful inventor. His compass is still used today and has even been upgraded and advanced through the years.
All right. Also, I did Sidereus Nuncius. Sidereus Nuncius, a highly influential work by Galileo Galilei, laid the foundation of modern society. Published in 1610, Galileo would go on to do what no man dared, contradict the Catholic Church. In short, the Catholic Church had a correct view about everything in society. They were the order, and no one could think otherwise, and if they did, there were consequences. The Catholic Church strongly believed in the theory of geocentrism, the idea that the world was at the center of the universe. This was the theory that was right, and since the Catholic Church believed it to be true, geocentrism was correct. Now, Galileo Galilei found scientific evidence of another theory, heliocentrism, the theory that the sun was at the center of the universe. He proved this theory by observing sunspots and how they moved as the Earth rotated. Galileo brought this evidence to the Catholic Church through a published piece of work, Sidereus Nuncius, and because it contrasted the Church's beliefs, Galileo was sentenced to death. Eventually, this published work was observed by others and was proven to be correct against the Catholic beliefs. Because of Galileo and Sidereus Nuncius, the world as we know it is the way it is. Galileo had the courage to disobey society for the truth and what was right. Today, the Sidereus Nuncius copies are beheld in the National Central Library of Florence, Harvard University, and the Vatican Library.
And then the second invention I did was Galileo's thermoscope. In 1597, Galileo created an instrument called the thermoscope while he was in Pavia. This development is used to identify temperature variations and is a closely related instrument to the thermometer. Galileo's thermoscope was constructed as a small vessel made of glass and contains a 50-centimeter long, delicate, and slim torch. The thermoscope can demonstrate the represented change in temperature, but was unable to present any numerical numbers or specific values. Due to the invention of this instrument, more complex versions of the thermoscope were created. Now it is easy to obtain exact temperatures due to Galileo's original model. Today, his thermoscope has been renamed and is now called Galileo's thermometer. This is interesting because he did not actually invent the thermometer, but his scientific principles helped create the thermometer we are familiar with now. The main reason for his invention was because he hoped to discover the main influence in temperature change has on air and liquids. With the thermoscope, he hoped to achieve his goal in a very structured and easy way. His thermoscope would increase or decrease in size depending on the amount of air. The air would then move the water into the tube where it was able to determine the temperature change. Some of the people using this device were a group of many scientists. These scientists were located in Venice, and Galileo was included in this group while the experiment was taking place. It is unknown who invented the thermometer, but we are certain that Galileo is the reasoning it eventually came to be. Thanks to his knowledge and his invention of the thermoscope, people were able to come up with the extraordinary instrument known as the thermometer. And then this is just a picture of each of the instruments that we covered in our presentation today.
Some challenges that we had while doing our project, I think main problem or challenge that we had was finding reliable sources, especially on JSTOR. I thought it was kind of a challenge to get sources that talk directly about each of our inventions, especially about like Galileo, and that weren't like super generic sources.
And
And
then that
the
is the
end.
end.
Thank you very much. Let me stop
Okay.
recording now. Um,